Hello, everyone. Welcome to our panel on innovative funding models to promote youth driven digital philanthropy in Africa. I am Rama Diallo. I'm from Senegal. I am your moderator for today. I am also the AYPN West Africa coordinator. As I've mentioned, AYPN, I'm going to dive into who we are. So, we are the African Youth Philanthropy Network, AYPN, an ecosystem of African youth philanthropists and impact investors, but also social entrepreneurs that is dedicated to supporting youth led developmental initiatives in the continent, setting the agenda for youth philanthropy, and development in the continent. AYPN is a leading network of young and next gen philanthropists in Africa with memberships from more than 19 countries. It is committed to building an innovative and vibrant youth philanthropy community in Africa. AYPN envisions to become the platform for shaping an agenda for African youth and next gen philanthropy by enhancing policies and practices through coordination, knowledge sharing, and capacity building of African youth philanthropic, social impact, and social investment organizations. Before diving into today's discussion, I would like to share a few house rules with you. First of all, please introduce yourselves in the chat box. You can give your name, your position, and organization. Please remain on mute when you're not speaking and mute yourself only when you want to speak. We also invite your comments and questions. Please look at the Q&A chat box on your screen. Today's webinar is being recorded. We will share a link with you after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with colleagues. Just to set the stage, today let's take a trip back in time. Imagine yourselves 10, 20, maybe even 30 years ago back in school. Remember how we learned to break down a subject. We were taught that to really understand something, we needed to know its keywords and also recognize what's important versus what's just extra information. That is exactly how I want us to proceed with today's topic. Because I feel like in today's fast paced world, we often rush through things and might miss some crucial details or leave people behind. Philanthropy at its core is all about those small, meaningful acts of helping others, even understanding the topics we're discussing. Because some of you might have difficulties with complex titles, especially if you're neurodivergent like me. You might have ADHD or be autistic or something like that. Or maybe you're just not from the sector and these terms are a bit tricky for you, complicated maybe. But yeah, it's essential that we break it down for everybody because we're all philanthropists in our own way. So, today's topic is exploring innovative funding models to promote youth driven digital philanthropy in Africa. And the first word that comes to mind when I read this to me is innovative. Because it stands out because it's not just for me about talking about funding models or something like that, but maybe trying to find the most creative funding models, those who think outside of the box. This could be new models that didn't exist a few years ago, or models from other parts of the world that are now making their way to Africa. The other term that stands out for me is digital, because we all know what philanthropy is, but digital philanthropy is a bit different. For us, we are called digital natives. Some older people are called digital migrants, but for us, everything happens online. For example, I I discovered and follow one of our guests, Youssef, through social media. I also see that he's influencing masses through those platforms, showing how digital philanthropy works. I also use online channels to contribute to my favorite causes, to raise awareness about causes that are dear to me and on important matters online. So, to put it simply, I think today's topic is asking the following question: how can we use new and creative ways to fund and support young people who are using technology to make a positive impact in Africa? Now, I would like to welcome our brilliant panelists to the discussion. Madonna is here. She's a great friend of mine. It's been a while since we haven't connected. So, welcome, Madonna. Can you please introduce yourself and quickly tell us what you think about the topic? What's your experience with fundraising models, mainly the most creative, maybe, or innovative ways of raising funds to promote digital philanthropy among young people in Africa?
Thank you, Rama. It's been a minute, but it's great to reconnect over this interesting subject. I'm happy to join you on this call. My name is Madonna Vicky Ainembabazi, and I work with CIFSOS Africa as a philanthropy program lead. And CIFSOS Africa is a philanthropy support organization that's based in Uganda and also in Kenya and South Africa. And our overall mission is to refine the practice of philanthropy. So when we're talking exploring innovative funding models for philanthropy, it's something that resonates with us deeply because that's what we seek to do in our context. When I looked at the subject, first the innovative part that you highlighted, then the digital. The third component that stood out for me was the youth-driven element. And it reminded me of, maybe I'll just share it as a story, something that happened last year in September. We'd reached the culmination of a community foundation support program at CIFSOS, and we'd been supporting about 5 community foundations through local resource mobilization, capacity strengthening endeavors. And each of the 5 had chosen to run a local fundraiser at the end of this program. So one of them, they're called Slum Life Survival. It's a community-based organization that supports slum communities through skills development and urban development. They decided to run a fundraising dinner. And for them, it wasn't just a dinner because alongside it was a social media campaign in which they were fundraising for money that would develop a water system for their community. So on they went with a couple of weeks running their social media campaign. They updated their website and included a digital donation portal that led to 2 options through which you could support them. First, through MTN mobile money. I know that it's, for some of you who've heard of the telecom company MTN. It's known in Africa, but the mobile money component, I'm told, is not in all countries where they're based. But mobile money is where you can transfer money from one SIM card to another, essentially using the USSD or using the mobile money app. And Flutterwave was also the other channel that they used on their website. So at the time of their reporting after that event, they'd been able to raise over $5,000. And this was their first rodeo at local fundraising and also leveraging digital philanthropy platforms for this. The experience for me affirmed the potential that local fundraising has in advancing and enabling digital philanthropy. But also when it's youth-led, there was a certain zeal to it. The ability to use social media, reach out to their networks, both first-hand networks and mutual networks of their first-hand networks that were able to raise this amount of money, but also advance and tell the story of the organization to brand new audiences that have continued to support them financially and non-financially. And the fact that we are operating currently in a sector that is actively pursuing alternative ways of funding within the development and social justice spaces makes this conversation on innovative funding models even more crucial. And I think, lastly, that digital philanthropy in itself provides us the opportunity to test these alternatives that, say, the Shift the Power movement and localization endeavors are seeking to advance. Things like trust-based philanthropy. I think that trust is a big thing when it comes to digital philanthropy, and maybe we'll get into that a little later. Advancing new ways of measuring, because how do you write reports to the individuals that transfer funds of varied amounts to through your digital fundraising platform? New ways of funding in general are possible through digital philanthropy, and I'm keen to hear from the other panelists and those that join us on this call what their thoughts are on those three things: innovative funding models, digital philanthropy that's youth-driven. Over to you, Rama.
Thank you so much for sharing this story and these insights. Can you please introduce yourself, Itumeleng, and answer to the question that Madonna just asked?
All right. Thank you so much. Can you all hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Awesome. I'd like to start by introducing myself. I'm Itumeleng Malefetsa, and I am a team leader, a corporate fundraising team leader at the South African Guide Dog Association. So I am heading the National Corporate Fundraising Department for the SA Guide Dog Association. So in terms of your question, I feel like it mainly resonates with me looking at the topic because we're talking about fundraising, digital philanthropy. Uh, so it resonates with me because it's in line with my professional career. And one of the things that I'm actually wanting to pinpoint is the fundraising aspect of it, which we have multiple ways of fundraising, digital fundraising to be specific. We have your social media, because I believe that social media has now turned into a game changer into the youth currently. I'll just make a typical example of the current campaign that I'm actually running within the organization, which is your Wear Your Shades campaign. And this campaign is a digital campaign of which we are raising awareness of your shades. We are raising awareness of visually impaired individuals. So this campaign is actually running digitally. It's running on all social media platforms. And then the other thing that I would like to talk about as well is your partnership. Collaborating with universities and schools, they've opened an avenue of fundraising. So which comes to a point of innovative. And I also would like to share a little bit of a story that when I started the organization, they actually informed me about the story. And a few years ago, a young girl by the name of Tandy from a small South African village used her smartphone to start a crowdfund campaign. And the objective of this crowdfund campaign was to raise funds for a guide dog for her father who was visually impaired. Now, through social media, her campaign became viral, and within weeks she managed to raise enough, and those are one of the success stories that the organization has, and the campaign actually went viral within all social media platforms. So yeah, that's just me in a nutshell. We can't hear you.
Rama, you're muted.
Right. Thank you. I was saying that it's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. Youssef, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you think? What's your experience on this subject?
Sure. Good morning for me and good evening or afternoon for everyone else. I'm not sure where everyone is calling from, but my name is Youssef Kromah. I am honored to be here before you all. I have about 12 years experience in digital marketing. I currently work as a digital marketer for the fastest growing law firm in America. That's just on a corporate side. We do $1 million a week in business, not using any traditional ads. We use solely social media, SEO, YouTube, Facebook to market our personal injury services. So that's our marketing branch. And we also have a philanthropic endeavors as well. It's really for tax havens. So we created a 501c3. And my job is to organize social media fundraisers to go all across the country and the continent of Africa. We've been to Asia. We've done work in Africa and Asia as well, and the Arab Middle East. So we organize social media influencers to go and raise funds for different causes. We average between 100,000 to 500,000 per campaign, and it takes about 3 days for us to raise it. So that's just a bit about my experience. But I'm honored to talk to you today about the subject that holds immense potential for transforming the landscape of philanthropy in Africa, which is exploring innovative funding models to promote youth-driven digital philanthropy. In an era that's marked by rapid technological advancement and digital connectivity, it's imperative that we harness these tools to empower our youth and create meaningful changes across the continent. Africa has the greatest asset in its youth, which is its youth. With over 60% of the population under the age of 25, our young people represent a dynamic and innovative force capable of driving significant social impact. However, to unlock this potential, we must create avenues that enable them to lead and shape the future of philanthropy. Digital philanthropy offers a unique platform for youth to engage, contribute, and lead initiatives that address pressing social issues. What is the advantage of Africa? If you look at many parts of the world, particularly in developed nations, we are witnessing a demographic shift that poses significant challenges to their social economic structures. Countries such as Japan, Italy, Germany are grappling with aging populations and declining birth rates. These nations face the daunting reality of shrinking workforces, increased health care costs, and growing dependency ratio, where fewer young people are available to support the ever-increasing elderly population. And in stark contrast to this, Africa stands as a threshold of a demographic dividend. Our continent is home to the world's youngest population, with over 60% of Africans being under the age of 25. So the challenge before us is to ensure that this youthful energy is channeled effectively. And one of the most promising avenues for doing so is through youth-driven digital philanthropy. By leveraging technology and innovative funding models, we can empower our young people to lead and shape the future of philanthropy, addressing the pressing social issues that affect our communities. So I have 6 ways that we can do this, and I'll just briefly touch on them, and we can perhaps go into depth later. The first thing is leveraging crowdfunding platforms, as some of the panelists have already discussed. And this is my specialization, particularly running YouTube ads and Instagram organic marketing. So what we have a team of specialist marketers and social media influencers. We found out what goes viral. As the gentleman said, the young lady created a crowdfunding campaign and it happened to go viral. Well, our team, we work day and night to sort of engineer virability. We study what goes viral. We study different trends. We study the algorithm, and we can create virability at the drop of a hat, if you will. So we utilize these social media platforms, trending sounds, what's new and hot topics, and we utilize that, leverage that to create viral content. Once the content goes viral, we then channel that content into a link, which will then be used to raise funds. So that's our strategy for Instagram. And for YouTube ads, it's been going on since, you know, forever. We just run our content on YouTube videos that are going viral. And we channel a lot of funds through there. So we raise a significant amount of money utilizing those strategies. And we also have our own platform that we use. We don't traditionally use GoFundMe or Kickstarter, but we utilize LaunchGood, so platforms that were created for us and by us as well. The second thing that we utilize is blockchain and cryptocurrency. So as you know, blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies offer innovative solutions for transparent and efficient fundraising. So we not only utilize traditional dollars amounts and wire transfers, but we also raise a significant amount of money utilizing blockchain and cryptocurrency, which comes with its own difficulties, but it's something that should definitely be given some thought. We do public and private partnerships, which is a collaboration between public and private sectors that unlock substantial resources for youth-driven digital philanthropy. Governments that can create favorable regulatory environments and provide seed funding, while private companies can offer technological support, mentorship, and additional funding. That helps a lot. And here in the United States, you have major tech companies, and you have a portion of the company where the employees donate a portion of their salaries, you know, for tax breaks to organizations. So if you can get your 501c3 or your NGO listed with that partnership, just one corporate partnership could be enough to sustain an entire NGO or a 501c3 nonprofit for a year. We also work in SIBs, which are social impact bonds, and they are innovative financing mechanisms where investors provide upfront capital to fund social programs and are repaid then by the government or other entities based on the program's success. And digital skills training and mentorship. We saw this digital boom that happened in India with its young population. Now major companies are shifting from China going to India, where we have many English-speaking countries in West Africa, and even youth that could be trained to learn different languages. And some of that those technology companies could then move to Africa, and it would create jobs and a lot of income for the country. Lastly, we encourage social entrepreneurship. By promoting social entrepreneurship among our youth, we can drive sustainable development and philanthropy. By supporting startups that address social issues, we create a culture of innovation and impact. Funding models such as impact investing, where investors seek both financial returns and social impact, this can play a very crucial role in supporting these ventures. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Youssef. What's an amazing contribution. Thank you all for your different insights from different perspectives. I would like to ask a question to Madonna. This has been really intriguing for me, as I live in an area, like I live in West Africa, in Francophone West Africa. And I imagine we have a different culture of giving and also the way we give. Most of the time, yeah, English speaking African countries are quite more awakened, if I can say so, when it comes to those online digital ways of contributing to causes. I heard you talk about that charity dinner and that the fundraising happened online and that it worked. I really would like to know how you make it work. How do you engage these people? How do you get them to give you? Does it need trust first? You need to build trust. Is it a long-term relationship before you are able to raise funds, or do they just naturally give because they feel connected to that? Because we've been doing a partnership with Mchanga, where I work, to raise funds for Francophone Africa, but it was not quite working, and we're still trying to learn why. Because you have to, I think, know like the behavior of your target before you're able to shape a perfect campaign, a perfect fundraising campaign for them. So the floor is yours. I don't know. You're muted. Yeah.
That's a huge question, but I'll take it, I guess, from experience and working with I'll use Slum Life Survival, the organization that we worked with and supported through this digital fundraising process. So first to say, I think giving usually happens from a place of either trust, reciprocity, or just plain altruism, for those that have really big hearts and just give for the sake of giving. But trust is a major thing that affects the ways that people give. And beyond the Anglophone and Francophone distinction in terms of our countries and the responses to digital philanthropy, I think I'll call to mind our Africanness. We're very communal, relational people. And why trust is a big issue is that at the end of the day, you want some sort of psychological assurance that the people to whom you've given the funds are actually going to utilize them for the cause that they advertised. I know that it was a major challenge, especially during this process. I mean, with the rise of online scams, you're at risk, unless you have a specific card that you use to swipe for online donations, you're at risk of being scammed or being hacked or something where you can lose the rest of your money just because you gave to a single cause. But I think from the experience of the Slum Life Survival campaign, I saw a lot of targeted campaigns, I would say. First, you reach out to the people that actually know you and connect with the cause, connect with you as a person, as an organization, as the ED, and then the program officers are also very engaged in this fundraising process, reaching out to their networks, both institutional and individual. That was the first stage, because you need to get buy-in at that level before you get into the open. Then the networks, the mutual friends, in a sense, their first network, the networks of first, the people that they had first point of contact with, then reach out to their broader networks, and then the trust continues. They'll give because so-and-so is a friend of the ED, and that way, the trust is sort of expanded beyond the initial people that you reached out to. Then the social media component opened up the fundraising campaign to those that were essentially a brand new audience for this organization. I don't know the metrics at this point that influence their giving, but I do know that there's a lot of effort around storytelling. There's so much you can do from your perspective. You just need to document straight and draft very good campaign messages. I think people over time have outgrown poverty porn. So if you can campaign from a place of hope, of showcasing past work that you've done, inculcating a sense of accountability. This is what we've had in the past. This is what we utilized it for. This is the impact that we've had in the community that we're fundraising for, and this is the additional thing that we'd like to add to the work that we've been doing in the past. That sort of, you build a track record of trust. Those that are patient enough to scroll through your social media, do the due diligence before swiping or sending that mobile money, will do the work on their end. About the metrics, I think people like Youssef would be in a better place to judge what drives the behavior of givers online. But from the fundraiser perspectives, you need to get your story straight, reach out to networks that you know, and then they can reach out to their other networks, and then you can cast it out on social media. That's the experience around trust as a challenge, but as also an opportunity when it comes to digital philanthropy. But I don't think we can run away from how communal and very relational we are when it comes to giving. That's not something we've outgrown yet, which is why I think that digital philanthropy is being utilized as a complementary channel of giving, not necessarily as a main source of funds for many organizations. So you do the traditional fundraising alongside, digital fundraising, at least within the context. Still, I think it's mostly based on the low supply of trust in the African context. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madonna. I love the part when you were talking about doing like a proof of concept, because actually in that group that we were trying, that pilot we were using, the one who did best was the one who already started doing activities, selling goodies. They're not just asking for money, they made goodies. They're working for mental health awareness, and they sell those goodies, and the money they get from it will serve will be paying like the free therapies for people, and they are the ones who raised more funds. So just to emphasize on what you've said. So Itumeleng, if someone else wants to add onto it, please feel free to do so. I just have a question for Itumeleng. um, Madonna talked about storytelling. It's so important. And I think what will strike more people, especially when you talked about the story of that young girl who helped his father have a guide. Sorry, that's the first time I hear about it, and it's really interesting. I did quick researches on Google about guide dogs. Are you thinking about expanding that to other regions? Because I think it will help many people in Africa, in other regions, other parts of the continent, and it could happen digitally. What are the maybe solutions you would envisage using if you would like to expand that project widely in Africa?
Thank you so much, Rama, for that question. And I'd like to start by saying the South African Guide Dog Association, it is part of the International Federation. So we have guide dogs most of the countries, but not in African countries. So it's simply because of I think it is because of the need. So I think that's why it is in some other countries and not necessarily in in other African countries. And for expansion, yes, there is a possibility of expansion, because currently we are looking into expanding, because right now we have a branch in Cape Town. Although it's in South Africa, we have a branch in Cape Town, and we're currently going to open another branch in Pretoria. Uh, in terms of focusing on other African countries, I feel like this is going to need a bit of research in terms of we need to do a needs analysis to ensure that is there a need in those specific countries, firstly, because of when we deal with guide dogs, it is only a niche of people that we cater guide dogs for. It's not just for everyone. So if another person, if a person doesn't deserve or doesn't get a guide dog, they get a cane, a white cane that they use um, in 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 an in an example um of a guide dog. Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
muted.
So Youssef, you talked about really interesting ways of raising funds online, even ways I haven't heard of. So we can raise funds thanks to blockchain, cryptocurrency. Um, do you think that we are ready to do that? Because you said in your speech that, yeah, you're quite struggling with that even in America. Do you think that it's Africa is ready to, like, this is appropriate in our context? And also you mentioned that viral content allows you to raise funds more easily. What makes a content viral? What methods can we use to make our content viral? The floor is yours.
Excellent, great question. So yesterday in the States, we had a new candidacy for the Democratic Party, which is, potential President Kamala Harris. and she was able to raise $50 million in 24 hours of announcing her presidency online, utilizing digital funds, utilizing blockchain cryptocurrency, 50 million online in 24 hours. And it was a group of 44,000 mainly Black and African American women that were on a Zoom call. This is the first time I ever saw a Zoom call that crashed utilizing ActBlue. So are we ready? Absolutely ready. And it is proving that it's happening all across the world, and transactions just going back and forth. So this is something that's happening right now, and we should definitely get on the train, if not lead the train to the destination. In terms of variability with content, here's a different perhaps way to look at the question. When we're creating content, we begin by asking ourselves the question, what are the reasons that people give? The very first thing is emotional connection. So personal stories. Donors often give when they feel a personal connection to a cause, when they are moved by compelling stories. Now, just for in full disclosure and transparency, I believe digital marketing is the most manipulative industry in the world. Just if you ever seen those, and I hate these commercials that Red Cross used to do back in the day. You'll see this little African kid with like a fly on this. I think that those are like hot paid actors. They hire these flies and they put them on this little kid's face. Just $1 a day, you can save Timmy's lives, right? And people are like, oh my God. Or there's a little cute dog that's in distress, and the dog has tears in his eyes. I don't know how they make it happen, but it pulls on people's heartstring. So emotional connection. I don't like those tactics, but it works. It works. So essentially, just finding a way to connect to a person emotionally, and there's ethical ways to do this, of course. But a person may donate to a cancer charity because they or a loved one has been affected by the disease. So understanding people, understanding the psychology of a person, understanding their emotional state and what people want to give to. So if you can connect to them emotionally, you're almost 90% of the time guaranteed a donation. But there are other factors as well. The second factor is impact and effectiveness. So visual results. People want to know that their contributions are making a tangible difference. One of the questions I've gotten frequently is, how do I know that my money is going to the right cause? And if it's going to the right cause, how do I know that you people are capable and competent enough to deliver the aid to where it needs to go to? So seeing is believing. So oftentimes I will make the ask on the first day of the fundraising campaign within 24 hours. For example, we do a campaign. One of our most successful campaigns is an eye cataract surgery in Wajir, Kenya. We do this every year. We even had Mr. Beast come out. If you YouTube Mr. Beast eye cataract in Kenya, I was the one who hosted Mr. Beast, even though his team hijacked the campaign and they didn't give us credit. That's a story for another day. But what we do is we will go to these villages and we'll show these people that are literally blind in one or both eyes as a result of direct contact with the sun. So we showed them going from not being able to see, they you can visually see their state. Within 24 hours, they'll be able to see again. So we document the process from when they walk into the hospital to the surgery itself, to them, I'll hold up 2 fingers in front of their eyes and they're like, I can see. They are joyful. They are making prayers. To see that transformation it's unbelievable. And seeing is believing. So if people say I'm from the show me states. So people like to see. If you can show the change in the environment, the change in the state of the ones who are receiving the aid, whether it's a people or facilities or an environment, to actually show the impact and effectiveness of what you're doing. The third reason that people give is social influence, peer pressure, or what we like to call FOMO, the fear of missing out. So social norms and peer pressure influence play a significant role in a charitable giving organization. So what we do is for example, I'll contract a team of maybe 15 influencers, and we'll all post our content on the exact same day at the exact same time. So people are looking at their algorithm and they see like maybe 15 different videos going viral at the same time from 15 different influencers, 15 different industries. I'm like, what is going on? I want to be a part of this trend, right? So the fear of missing out was a real thing. People want to be a part of it, where, and oftentimes we give shout outs. So one person, for when people donate, they would like for people to know. We give a personal thank you. We send out personal messages to people, and it goes a long way. If you'll notice a trend now that the people are doing on social media is they'll say, type in the comments, hello, and I'll send you a personal link to your email. So what we do is we'll say, we digitize it where a person writes donate in the comments, and we'll send them a direct message to their DMs, as opposed to telling them, hey, people, click the link in my bio. There isn't any personal effect. A person, the turnover is very low. But if a person writes donate in your comments, and you say, hey, I'm Youssef, I just want to thank you so much for your generosity. This is a cause that means so much to me. I know you've been following me for a long time. It means a lot. If you donate, it would mean the world to me. And here's a link. Make it very easy, make it very accessible, and add a personal touch. So that's something that can be digitized. People may think that it's me, but it's really many chats that's sending, and I don't have the time or ability to send 1,000 messages, but the digital technology, it can create that effect. So a personal touch. Also reciprocity. So giving, we always say that doing good feels good. So people often give as a way to reciprocate for the benefits they have received or for it to pay forward. And this takes, in the church, you have tithing. In the Islamic tradition, you have zakat. So people that have maybe a faith-based tradition will be more willing to give for the idea of reciprocity. This is one of the main factors that we also press upon. Also, something that may seem simple is belief in the cause. Strong alignment with the values and mission of an organization will cause a person to give. 6, tax benefits. This is something we utilize to our advantage. I'm not sure if it's the same in different countries, mainly in Africa, but here in the States, for example, if I earn a salary of $100,000, my tax bracket will be really high. So if I were to give 20,000 of that 100,000, it would save me maybe $30,000. So people every tax year, they're looking to give money. So it's an easy sell. Like, hey, we know that you're looking to donate your salary to save yourself in taxes. Here's a cause that associate or aligns with your values, aligns with your beliefs, and it's an easy sell. People are looking to give anyway. So that's one of the ways. And lastly, urgency and crisis. We've seen the most amount of funds raised when we are fundraising for crises that are time sensitive. So we're telling people, hey, there was an earthquake that was in Turkey that happened, and we were able to raise within 24 hours $500,000 using maybe 5 social media influencers, and we didn't even have to go on the ground because we already had a team that was already stationed in Turkey just for the orphanages that we were running. So once they knew that it was a time-sensitive matter, they were, very encouraged to give immediately. So once it's time-sensitive, people are inspired to give. So yeah, those are some of the strategies that we utilize when we're formulating for content viability, pressing on those issues. Usually have a great effect in terms of fundraising.
Thank you so much, Youssef. So we remember that seeing is believing, doing good feels good, and also trying to act on the fear of missing out. I've also retained that social media influencers might help, and that maybe we should be selective depending on what we are trying to do, because some influencers might not be appropriate for certain types of fundraising. Yes, Itumeleng, you have your hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be really quick. Thank you so much, Yusuf. And I just wanted just to echo what you were saying in terms of the influencers. It is one of the strategies that I actually would like to venture into right now in terms of my campaign, because I've got 2 campaigns this year. So it's one of the strategies that I would like to go into a different fundraising tool, because that is very much different than the digital side and the normal tradition fundraising method that we go. So I think I'm really moving and moving towards the influencer side, like getting an influencer and so on. Yeah, so it's one of the things that actually I'm looking at that for this year as my strategy.
Yeah, also
Thank you.
the way that you choose social media influencers really matters. I have a lot of error and sometimes just wrong personalities. We have very sensitive campaigns, and somebody would get up there and say, "Hey, follow me 24 days. I'm going to Africa. I'm going to help these Africans." It's something very offensive, and it went viral, and it caused the campaign. I mean, terrible. You know, so choosing the personality matters. Numbers don't always mean that success. So a person may have 500,000 followers, but their followers aren't necessarily engaged. There's no emotional connection with their following. So a person may have 10,000 followers and raise more than a person with 200,000 followers because they spent the last 5 years investing in their followers. So, you know, they're already giving, educating, and empowering. So when they make an ask, they feel inspired, they feel connected to that influencer. So half of the job is just making sure that you choose the right influencers, people that are sincere, people that are true to the cause, and people that won't be problematic in terms of, because once you hire them, now they're representing your cause or your brand. So if they act foolish later, it's going to also reflect upon you.
Absolutely. Madonna, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Yusuf sharing sparked an early Q&A session from me. I was just curious about any observations around seasonal giving. You know, Christmas, there's Giving Tuesday, there's Good Deeds Day that I've recently interacted with. Is there increased giving around those times, and you know, what drives giving around seasons from your experience?
I'll tell you what, Christmas is one of the worst times to run a campaign. People are broke. So don't hold the campaign around Christmas, around any holiday where people need to spend on their families. It's not a good time to do so. Usually off seasons where people are not spending, like back to school and stuff like that. We try to stay away from those type of events. But as you mentioned, Giving Tuesday, it's an opportune time because people are giving. They're showing up already, wanting to give for Giving Tuesdays. So those kind of events are great. But holidays, typically we stay away from the holidays because people are out spending and they tend not to give as much in my experience.
Thank you. Talking about Giving Tuesday, I know MA is here. Here in Senegal, for example, we are known as the country of Teranga, and Teranga literally means generosity. But it's still difficult to raise funds just for Giving Tuesday. We have Giving Tuesday Senegal. I'm actually the program lead for Giving Tuesday Senegal. But when you tell them to give, it's a bit complicated because I feel like we should use a different approach maybe here because people are already giving. We give all the time. My boss likes to tell that story that when people overseas tell her that we are broke and we don't have money, she'll respond, but no one is. When you come to Senegal, for example, you will not see many people lying on the streets. Um, Homeless people outside because we are helping each other. If you have a brother or cousin, sometimes even not someone that you don't know, we all have a room that no one lives in that is just there for guests, guests that we are not expecting to have. Maybe they didn't give a notice before coming, but they have a bowl to eat. They also have a room ready for that. So we're already giving. So here, the approach we wanted to use for Giving Tuesday is to highlight those ways of givings that we have, our giving traditions, but also trying to have discussions like these to tell them that if you give to a cause that is helping people, for example, have insurance, health insurance, it will have maybe more impact than if you spend a day giving every day to your housekeeper, maybe 1000 francs, 1000 CFA, so they can get to pay their medical fees. And yeah, I think it's getting more attention when we're speaking that way, is that you're giving, but there is a more efficient way to give. So I would like to ask maybe Youssef, what you think about that approach. And also you mentioned faith-based organizations. It's really working here in Senegal. We are 95% Muslims, and we have a community among that Muslim community called the Mourids, Mouredes, and they are raising nearly billions of CFAs just because of that religious belief. And it's used to build facilities that will help much more people than that community itself. Yeah.
Yeah, so I second that notion. Senegal is one of the most generous cultures, and Senegalese are some of the most generous people I've ever met in my life. And my strategy is always understanding your population. I know that in Senegal, they have a particular times of year where giving is very rampant. One of those events are the Gamu or the Molid or whatever the case may be. They raise crazy money during the Molid. You can go to villages and find, some of these religious scholars, and they live better than the president. So what I would do is, with a population of 95% Muslim, develop some sort of app or technology that allows people to pay zakat easily, that allows people to calculate their yearly zakat, and also educate them to what causes are zakat eligible. You're talking about millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that's just untapped. So I would channel those zakat through the means, and I'll also leverage the gamus and the molas and to develop causes based around that. I actually have, we've built 6 schools in Senegal, mainly in the Kaolack area, and I work with the Mouridia community. I work with the Tijani community. Many of those religious Sufi groups are the ones that raise the most money because they have leadership that upon instruction they're going to give. So that makes it easy as long as you tap into the leadership, and you align with their causes. Some of them want to build schools, they want to build hospitals, they want to educate and feed the population. You align with their causes, and you guys can work together. I think there's a lot of potential in Senegal because the culture is already a generous culture.
Awesome. So Madonna and Itumeleng, or anyone else that wants to answer about it, I would like maybe to dive into the challenges. We've talked about the opportunities, and they are endless. Maybe just let us know what you think might be the challenges to digital fundraising, especially for the youth in Africa. Yes, Madonna.
So I think I touched on a challenge earlier, and for me, my main challenge in digital philanthropy was the issue of trust and navigating how relational we are with our giving to adopting something that's almost passive, detached in a way. But I thought that before getting into that, I wanted to emphasize the importance of something that helps advance or activate digital philanthropy from our practice and my experience. And I think it's local fundraising. From when we think about the work that has gone into and on the continent, broadly speaking, we have CAPSI, we have EPIC Africa, CVO, so many organizations that are advocating for shaping the narrative around African philanthropy and the ways that we live. I think it's important work because for so long we had adopted the mentality and the state of being mostly benefactor. Money comes from the global north, from the diaspora, from really just white male donors in a sense. And there's been a lot of work that has gone into documenting, storytelling, showcasing the ways that Africa can give, which is important. And because of that, there's a continued need for advocating for local fundraising, such that we actually activate this shift in the narrative. And for us it's one thing for you to have all these digital platforms and know all the language and the technical know-how on how to make a campaign go viral. It's another thing for people to actually give and see themselves as potential donors to it. From the experience, at least within Uganda, I've noticed that a lot of our giving has gone towards health as when it comes to social media giving, social media fundraising campaigns, and digital platform giving. First, because you can almost experience, how it could feel. And there's a, I don't know if it's a meme or a saying that goes around that, at least in Uganda, that you are one illness away from leaving the middle income class. So, just one hospital bill, heaven forbid you wake up and you have a condition or cancer that requires you going out of the country for an operation, because Lord knows our hospital state. But just that experience in and of itself, the reality that that's something blooming that has a potential happening to you, I think taps into the emotions of people to give to causes like these. So I've seen a lot of people coming up, you have a surgery in India, you need to go to Nairobi for, some special treatment that's not available in Uganda. There's a lot of giving that goes into that. But we're still testing and trying giving that goes towards development or filling the gaps that government doesn't meet. Towards education, that's also a lot of giving that's happening there. Sometimes it goes undocumented because it's in the form of black tax. You give silently, you let a distant relative into your home, and before you know it, you're paying tuition and all. That may be undocumented, but there's giving towards advocacy for freedom of speech. Today there's a protest in Uganda protesting corruption in our government. There's people that are giving to that, and some of it is digital, some of it is under the table, because just because of the shrinking civic space. You may get your hands banned, your fingers banned in a sense, if you are found to be sponsoring activities like those. So there's still the gap of addressing local fundraising for development and social justice. And I would say that digital philanthropy has the potential to address these gaps. First, because it enables responsiveness and real-time giving in a way that traditional funding models would not. You have a protest like this, you have a need that needs to be addressed immediately. You don't have time to write a proposal, let alone wait for an EFT or RTGS transfer, then go to the bank and transfer the money and all that stuff. So you need instant finances to address that need. And I think digital philanthropy is positioned to enable responsiveness that we've been advocating for in the Shift the Power movement, and with the general, with the international discourse around exploring alternative ways of giving, of measuring, of all of that stuff. So I think that we need to sort of balance the two, local fundraising and digital philanthropy. One cannot be activated without the other, especially digital philanthropy may not be able to be activated or reach its full potential without enabling local fundraising. Over to you, Rama.
Thank you so much, Madonna. Someone else wants to add onto it? Challenges? No more challenges? We want to stay positive. And you're okay. So we have Rosina. Yes, please turn on your mic and let us know what you think.
Okay, so I think mine has to do with I'm speaking from Ghana anyway. So I'm working for an organization that I started in 2019. And from that period of time, most of the projects that I embark on, I fund it myself. So like every year I have a quota that I put into a savings account to embark on the project, say by September, November. And gradually the projects, people are beginning to partner, but then the kind of partnership we are bringing on board does not include money, or let me say funds. So people want to support, they know what you want to do, and they think it's a big idea, and they know it's going to help a greater population. But putting their money on it is another different conversation altogether. Most people want to put their monies where they will be recognized, especially on the media, and people can know that, oh, okay, this person donated to this and all that. So once it's not in the faces of people, everybody wants to shy away from it. Right. And I want to find out, because so now my question is, do we have to do a lot of marketing and publicity to be able to get people to know that, okay, this is what we are doing, and so you should come and support, or our focus should rather be on the impact we want to make? I don't know how to probably put this for you to understand, but like, I'm trying to say that in trying to bring about the digital philanthropy aspects, are we looking at the marketing aspect of it to help us raise funds, or we are looking at just projecting philanthropy in general, or we are projecting the giving aspect of philanthropy? Thank you.
Thank you, Rosina. That's an interesting question. Itumeleng, Youssef, Madonna, someone else in the call maybe wants to answer the question?
Yeah, sure. There's a saying that if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around to hear it, does it make a sound? So this concept can be applied to digital marketing or philanthropy. There are many organizations that are doing amazing work, NGOs, nonprofits across the country, across the continent, are doing amazing work, but nobody knows what you're doing. So that's a problem, because that's your donor base. So sometimes people are shy to get on social media, to market themselves, to tell people what they're doing, but those are potential donors that you're missing out on. And also, if you're talking about why do people give, is one of the reasons that we mentioned, for the fear of missing out. People they want recognition, they want social impact, they want recognition for what they're doing. So having people that are interested in perhaps not giving necessary funding, but a sweat equity matters as well. If you have people that are on the ground that want to put the sweat equity in, give them an opportunity to be recognized, documented, leverage different influential people, whether that's government, politicians, social media influencers, or just noteworthy people in the community. Give them recognition. We give what we like to do. One of the strategic ways we do is that, if you call very wealthy individuals and ask them to come out for a fundraiser, many times they won't be inclined to come out. So what we host is yearly award ceremonies. So we say, hey, Mr. Johnson, I'm calling you because you're one of the greatest philanthropists in Philadelphia. The whole city is raving about your amazing work. We're going to honor you on Saturday night. Would you like to come out? Mr. Johnson is going to clear his schedule and come out for us. So we have 20 Mr. Johnsons in the room. And then we really toot their horns in front of the community. And then you find that on the spot, they begin to give. And then when Mr. Johnson gives, Mr. Peter's also going to give, because he doesn't want to be upstaged by Mr. Johnson, who's his perhaps business competitor, perhaps a community recognition, whatever the case, whatever social dynamic is happening in that room, more funds are raised when you get these individuals together. So it's just about finding different innovative and creative ways to give people the recognition, to give them their roses while they're alive, and give them incentives to give. And marketing is, if you're not documenting what you're doing, it's almost as if it never happened. So the massive impact happens when you're documenting, and with the advent of social media, you can get that in front of millions of eyes. In fact, many of our campaigns, they only last 3 days. We raise the money, the majority of the work people don't even see. But the 3 days that we're there, we document as much as we can document, and we raise as much money as we can raise. And throughout the year, the process continues. So while we're there, we may do 300 eye cataracts, but people don't see the 2,000 cataracts that happen throughout the year. They don't see the heart surgeries that's performed. They don't see the diabetes checks that diabetes isn't sexy, all right? People don't want to see people come and say have diabetes, but they do want to see the eye cataract. They do want to see these things. When giving children hearing aids, it pulls on a heartstring. So by getting funds through those means, we're able to do the other work that's not so sexy and not so intriguing. But marketing, it really plays an effect. And if you're already doing it on your own, adding the marketing component will really take you a long way.
Great. Thank you so much. Itumeleng, you want to add something to it?
Yes. I'd like to add on, just to say that Rosina must not give up in terms of the partnerships and the network that she has currently. um, I believe that partnerships and networking it's very important. As much as maybe she's saying that they are not providing money, they're not giving her funds and so on. But I don't want to lie to you. Networking, partnership is very important because these people they might not give now, but they might even give after in 2 years' time. And I would just make a typical example. When I was working for the higher institution, we would start by being friends with a person. We friend raise first. We become friends. Then after that, that's when we build up that partnership. So the person might not give now. The person might give after a year. The person might give after 2 years. So it's highly imperative to network, to keep that network, to keep that partnership with that person because you might never know where it's gonna lead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do like that concept too. Yeah, that's amazing. So you build relationship with your network, even if they don't give today, they might give tomorrow or recommend you. Maybe they're following your actions. So just keep documenting what you're doing, as Yusuf said, and yeah, value the network that you have, as Itumeleng added, even if they're not giving. So the Q&A session is opened. Please feel free to raise your hands, then turn on your mic if you have questions or contributions you want to make to today's topic. Yes, Roger, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Roger Somolo. I'm joining from Kenya. I'm part of Africa Youth Philanthropic Network, East Africa. I also run a youth-led organization known as Activate Action. So basically, I've joined late, but I'm really enjoying the conversation. But maybe you'll forgive me if I'm repeating what has been asked before, especially when you're doing fundraising through social media. It's really challenging to ask. You don't know when to ask and how to ask. So maybe I'll just want to hear some insight. What are the best way of asking? Because somehow asking make you vulnerable, but it's also not bad to ask. But now, for example, this is just a new person that you connected to. The network has not like grown for so long, but now it's you because you need it and you know this person has it. So what are some of the right time that we can say this is the right time to ask someone for a donation or a money? Yeah.
Thank you, Rogers. Madonna, please go ahead.
So thanks, Rogers, for that question. As you shared, one thing came to mind, and it's Giving Tuesday. Specifically for Uganda's context, one of the things that we've been testing and trying has been getting businesses to give actively. Let me put it that way. In the sense that they usually give money, like they may throw money and, go ahead and do that social media post advertising what they've just done for you or your organization because it's their CSR. But we thought, as many organizations are coming to us wondering how to utilize Giving Tuesday to fundraise for their causes, we thought maybe it's too much to ask, especially when you're just starting to build a relationship, to just directly ask for the money. You need time, you need, we usually refer to it as wooing. So you need a couple of dates before you can finally make the big ask, in a sense. So we've been organizing volunteering opportunities for the staff of the businesses in Uganda. A few, we did one with DHL Uganda and Stanbic Bank. And the goal behind this for us as Giving Tuesday Uganda was to get more people to interact with the cause. And the more they are, the more ideas may spring up in ways that they can support you. So if you reach out to them saying, come and dedicate a specific amount of your CSR to our organization, there's already so many proposals lined up for them. But if you organize something fun, let them come and volunteer. In one instance, we were reading to children. So the activity was just come and read with the children, play with them. That's all we're asking. And as I guess there's a bit of guilt in coming empty-handed. So before we knew it, they didn't just come to play with the children. They carried a couple of scholastic materials with them and snacks for the kids in kindergarten. And they left saying they would, advocate for the school, for the enterprise that they had visited at the next time they were discussing the CSR budget. So that was one instance. The other, we're running a campaign around period poverty and making reusable sanitary towels. We still did the same thing, get the businesses, the staff out of the offices, at least for a couple of hours. They dedicated half a day to this activity. They came, made reusable sanitary towels and learned about menstruation cycle with students in secondary school in I think it was Kamuli in Uganda, and they live with different ways, either to give to that specific cause or that specific community, or find other causes similar to that they can either give their money, their time, or tell someone about. So the next time they see reusable sanitary towel campaign, it will be something that they have personally experienced, so they're able to give from a place of knowledge, from a place of trust, and there's even an emotional connection to the reason that they're giving. That's one of the ways that we've utilized Giving Tuesday to help build relationships between the givers and the communities and organizations that need to fundraise from them. So maybe that helps or gives you ideas, Rogers.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your experience with Giving Tuesday. Does someone else want to chip in?
Yeah, but just want to just say a few words in terms of knowing the right time to actually approach a donor. Um, and going back to your question, what I normally do is that one of the things that I do is that I follow your social media donor trends. They would actually guide you in terms of, now this is the time to give, da 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 da, and so on. It's very important to follow such, because it educates more in terms of the corporate or the government or whoever the sector that you are going to approach. So it's very important. And by that being important, you would have obviously followed the fundraising cycle in your approach, because the fundraising cycle, you first need to identify the person or the prospect that you want to approach. Thereafter, qualification mainly is you now doing the research in terms of, is this the person that aligns with my project? Then we go to cultivate is now strategizing. How are you going to do the ask? Are you going to do the ask via an email, via writing a proposal, or via an online giving platform? Then you solicit, solicitation. Thereafter is cultivate. It's stewardship, which is after they've actually have given you funds. But in your question, I would really say that it's very important to follow donor trends. Those are the information that actually guides you. And I don't want to lie to you, you're not going to get lost with regards to that, because of it's one of the things that I also follow. And it's been working for me. And the nicest thing is that the closest donors, the donors that I have relationships with, the nicest thing is that when they whenever they have funds, they would they would call me within a week. They'll be like, Itumeleng, please send us a proposal. We have some few funds left and we need to give it away. You understand? So it's also relationship building and knowing that there's trust, there's loyalty. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
If I may add something small to what Sister Madonna said, the analogy of looking at donors almost like the dating process and like having to woo the donor. Uh, if I can extend that analogy, for example, when you're having call to action on Instagram, you're really asking people that may or may not be interested in what you have to offer, may or may not be wanting or willing to give. You just don't know. So essentially, you're sliding in the DMs, and the person may not be interested at all. Versus Google, if a person goes on Google and they type in nearest South African orphanage, that means they're interested in an orphanage. They're looking to give right then and there in that moment. When you go on Google and you type in nearest West African restaurant, you're looking to eat right then and there. You're not going to eat tomorrow or within the next few days, whatever the case may be. Typically, when a person goes on Google, they're looking for something immediately. So if you're able to meet that donor where they are, and you have the Google profile, it shows up at the top of the profile, and you have Google reviews. I mean, one of my jobs I used to do before I handed it over religiously, I would wake up first thing in the morning and I would check each and every Google review. And if anything was less than 5 stars, I would reach out to that person. I would call them. I would email them. Hey, I saw you left me a 4.5 review. Is there anything that I did that made you unhappy, that made you feel disservice? Can I remedy that? I went sometimes from 1.5 to 5 stars for something so simple. I don't like the way your receptionist talked to me. I am so sorry. You know, she didn't have her coffee. Could you please forgive us? We just need that 5 star, sir. So now you type in, I'm looking for a charity to give in Uganda. The first thing that comes up is your charity. I see 100 5-star Google reviews. There's your social proof. So when they go into your website, they're looking to give. They see the social proof, and your website is amazing. Boom, you get to sell right then and there. So the work is done for you. It's just by establishing the right systems in place, and you'll meet your donors where you are. If you're dating and you meet someone that's also looking to date and get married, it makes it easier than someone that's wanting to be single and live their best lives that way. So if you look at donors that way, I think that would be a good way to gauge them.
Amazing. Amazing contributions. Yes, Kandi, please.
What an absolutely masterclass that we're having today. I have my notepad out. I'm literally scribbling away. My hand hurts. I just have a question for all of you and this is something that I've noticed within our network, that you have organizations that are starting up and they're youth-led, like Rosina and Rogers. They don't necessarily have a communications budget, a marketing budget. So they don't have certain access to certain platforms and in the way that they can utilize them. They don't have teams. They probably function on voluntarism, which is mostly AYP, how AYP works too. And for me, it's, yes, we want to be findable and fundable, but how do we navigate that landscape? As young people, how do we then use digital philanthropy? If you can also just in your answers, and I know a lot of people in the room want to know what then they can do, what alternatives are then more affordable or easier to use that we can all tap into, because I think that's a general problem that we're all struggling with. So that goes to anyone.
Anyone to answer this question?
Yeah,
Yes, Madonna. Sorry.
I'll chime in. When I think now is the most opportune time to find someone that can help and build social media. Everywhere you go, you find people on their phones like this all day long. Right? Everybody wants to be a social media influencer, a TikTok dancer, an Instagram baddie. So what you do is you just leverage people's interest for a good cause. You like to dance on TikTok? Here's a cause that you could dance for. I don't know where these young men are from, these young children are from, but one of, I believe, East African countries. They're like dancers, and they started off just dancing in the village, and they went viral, and they're on like America's Got Talent, and they raised millions of dollars for their causes, and just because they like to dance. So you find what people are automatically interested in. You know, you find people that are using their phones, that are on social media, that want to be influencers, and you encourage them to utilize their platforms for a cause, even if they haven't reached yet a level of viability or a level of influencer per se. You can build them up, and if you build up a team of 10 or 15, the likely chance that one of them may go viral if a person is talented. So you just build up a team of people that are already doing what they love to do, and you just encourage them to do it for a cause.
Love that idea. Madonna, you want to add something?
I was thinking of volunteers specifically. There's a number of startup organizations in our context that usually take on volunteers, even if it's just a month, volunteers for a specific cause, which could be, you know, help us with our socials. There's also, I guess, cheaper goods and services that we can use to advance. Sorry, I think I just lost my train of thought. I was thinking of Fiverr specifically, where you can get cheaper labor, I guess, when it comes to designing your social media campaign. But there's also organizations, businesses that are already doing social media work that you could approach from, you know, where CSR is not necessarily them giving their money, but giving their talent to support your organization. That's also something that one can explore. I'm not so familiar, or I've not personally used TechSoup, but I know that one of the community foundations that we're working with was sharing rave reviews about TechSoup and how the access to different digital platforms there has enabled them run the organization, which is really still at startup level, from a Zoom platform to Microsoft services and products to Canva and so much more. On Canva, there's free versions for that one can use for design. So if you have a volunteering team but you don't necessarily have the money to subscribe, they can still be able to use certain platforms without paying the premium for them to enable your social media campaigns. My thoughts.
Amazing. Itumeleng?
I can safely say your question, Tembekile, one of the ideas that I actually would come up with is Stockfell. Stockfell is also, I don't know if you know Stockfell. Stockfell, it is another form of giving in terms of a community. What I mean about community is that in villages, in rural areas, you get communities that actually pass on money in order for them to actually get like a lump sum of money. Like this month, this is the person that is going to get. This month is so and so is going to get. Let's say, for an example, it's like 10 people, and then each and every month there have to be contribution of, for an example, $100, and this $100 each and every person is going to contribute, and each and every month a certain person is going to actually get it. And this initiative, because it is also part of fundraising, it is also philanthropy. And I would as well say that I think in this case, Tabikile, on your in your case, in terms of the village and the rural area, this this will apply to them in terms of having like a stockfell of some sort. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contributions. So we have the contribution from Youssef of capturing people from their interests. I love that concept. I've been talking about it for hours with Tembi, because I feel like we're only privileging people who are already from the philanthropic sector or the developmental work. But I think, as I said in my introduction, we're all philanthropists in our own way. So if you can use your art, your talent, to serve a greater cause, I think people will be more than welcome to do it. We also have the idea from Madonna about using the free resources online that we have. And also, if you're an NGO, sorry, or a CSO, you can benefit from subsidized products from Microsoft or any other tool. You also have the African CSO platform. I have written the URL in the chat. Yeah, you will find free resources there, articles, capacity building opportunities, funding opportunities. It's always helpful for small CSOs or CBOs to begin with, even if you don't have a lot of resources in your possession. Itumeleng also shared a useful tool. You can kindly write it in the chat so people can benefit from it. I think we have only 2 minutes left. So yeah, as we wrap up, I would like to thank our panelists, brilliant panelists, for sharing their invaluable insights and experiences. We've explored how innovative funding models and digital philanthropy can empower youth-driven initiatives across Africa. And the key takeaway is that creativity and technology are crucial in driving positive change. So let's continue to support and nurture these efforts to make a lasting impact. Thank you all for participating and contributing to this important panel discussion. That was my pleasure to be a moderator. Thank you all. Yes,
Thank you,
and
Rama.
thank you.
And thank you,